Welcome guys to my new video. Today we gonna learn what is a pointers in the C programming language. So, first off I'll go subscribe to my channel and let's start our course. User input. You have already learned that printf is used to output values in C. To get user input, you can use the scan function. In this example, we want to output a number entered by the user. The scan function takes two arguments, the format specifier of the variable, %d in the example above, and the reference operator amp, mynum, which stores the memory address of the variable. Multiple inputs. The scan function also allows multiple inputs, an integer and a character in the following example. Take string input. You can also get a string entered by the user, like this example. Note that when working with strings in scanf, you must specify the size of the string or array. We used a very high number, 30 in our example, but 80 at least, then we are certain it will store enough characters for the first name, and you don't have to use the reference operator. However, the scanf function has some limitations. It considers space, white space, tabs, etc. as a terminating character, which means that it can only display a single word, even if you type many words. In this example, you would expect the program to print John Doe, but it only prints John. That's why, when working with strings, we often use the fgets function to read a line of text. Note that you must include the following arguments: the name of the string variable, size of, string name, and stdin. Use the scanf function to get a single word as input, and use fgets for multiple words. Memory address. When a variable is created in C, a memory address is assigned to the variable. The memory address is the location of where the variable is stored on the computer. When we assign a value to the variable, it is stored in this memory address. To access it, use the reference operator, and the result represents where the variable is stored. The memory address is in hexadecimal form. You will probably not get the same result in your program, as this depends on where the variable is stored on your computer. You should also note that amp, my age, is often called a pointer. A pointer basically stores the memory address of a variable as its value. To print pointer values, we use the %p format specifier with the reference operator. A pointer is a variable that stores the memory address of another variable as its value. A pointer variable points to a data type, like int, of the same type, and is created with the operator. The address of the variable you are working with is assigned to the pointer. Create a pointer variable with the name ptr that points to an int variable, my age. Note that the type of the pointer has to match the type of the variable you are working with, int in our example. Use the amp operator to store the memory address of the myAge variable, and assign it to the pointer. Now, ptr holds the value of myAge's memory address. Dereference. In the example above, we used the pointer variable to get the memory address of a variable, used together with the amp reference operator. You can also get the value of the variable the pointer points to, by using the operator, the dereference operator. Note that the sign can be confusing here, as it does two different things in our code. When used in declaration, in ptr, it creates a pointer variable. When not used in declaration, it acts as a dereference operator. Pointers are one of the things that make C stand out from other programming languages, like Python and Java. They are important in C, because they allow us to manipulate the data in the computer's memory. This can reduce the code and improve the performance. If you are familiar with data structures like lists, trees and graphs, you should know that pointers are especially useful for implementing those. And sometimes you even have to use pointers, for example when working with files. Pointers amp, arrays. You can also use pointers to access arrays. Consider the following array of integers. You learned from the arrays chapter that you can loop through the array elements with a for loop. How are pointers related to arrays? Okay, so what's the relationship between pointers and arrays? Well, in C, the name of an array is actually a pointer to the first element of the array. Confused? Let's try to understand this better, and use our memory address example above again. The memory address of the first element is the same as the name of the array. This basically means that we can work with arrays through pointers. How? Since myNumbers is a pointer to the first element in myNumbers, you can use the operator to access it. To access the rest of the elements in myNumbers, you can increment the pointer or array, +1, +2, etc. Also you can use the loops like here. It is also possible to change the value of array elements with pointers. This way of working with arrays might seem a bit excessive, especially with simple arrays like in the examples above. However, for large arrays, it can be much more efficient to access and manipulate arrays with pointers. It is also considered faster and easier to access two-dimensional arrays with pointers. And since strings are actually arrays, you can also use pointers to access strings. For today, don't forget